the upcoming season with the draft now over, what's some of the rookies that are high on your list that you're going to be targeting?
A graded SGC 9.5 card is some of the most underrated cards in the industry. What's your take on taking a 9.5 and then cracking it, submitting a PSA to see if you can get a 10? You find success with that, or normally it's going to come back a 9 PSA?
So I recently bought a 9.5 silver Bryce Young for $100.
Yep.
I'm seeing that his PSA 10 is going for $200. I mean, what's the real value in when you're looking at BGS's 9.5s to a PSA 10?
About half.
Seriously? Okay, wow.
We're live for episode number 58 of the Eric Michael Show, where I talk about sports cards, business, life. I buy cards in front of you guys, and you guys can call in, and I can answer any of your questions and have conversations with you guys live. But while we wait for some people to join, call in. We are in May right now, and it's probably the best time of the year for watching sports. NHL playoffs. I freaking love NHL playoffs. That game last night, the Blues and Winnipeg, was insane. Winnipeg scored like 1.7 seconds left. It was wild. And I was actually pretty close to betting the Blues. Thank God I didn't. I would have been really angry. That NBA playoffs, the Warriors just took down the Rockets. I actually thought the Rockets were going to win that game. I give Steph Curry and Steve Kerr a lot of credit. Their team is not that great. I had made a joke to my friend yesterday that Brandon Podziemski, I forget how to pronounce his name, if he pulled up to LA Fitness, I wouldn't even recognize him as like a college basketball player, honestly. So like that team, their tallest guy on the floor usually is like Draymond Green, who's 6'7". How they won, I don't know. But Rockets going to be really good next year, most likely. And then we have the MLB going on. My Mets doing really good. There's a lot of young, exciting players. I think Jackson Holliday just had his first multi-home run game. So a lot of good stuff going on in the world of sports cards. But you guys are here because you want to learn how to make money, obviously. And I will share my screen and show you what's been going through my head, how I think the best way to make money right now. So, right, you have basketball, you have football, hockey, you have baseball. And they're all interesting buys for all different reasons. So the number one buy, in my opinion, is still football, but basketball is interesting because now we're getting into the offseason. A lot of teams are losing. We're getting into the offseason. And the thing with basketball is it's really been underwhelming the past few years. Why? I don't know. Basketball, like 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021 was like the sport. And then it just stopped. Maybe a lack of exciting young players. Maybe viewership ratings going down because there's too many three-pointers. I don't know, but basketball's lost a lot of its hype and excitement. So I'm a bit skeptical when it comes to buying basketball. Football is great, and then baseball is good to go in and start buying guys. And like now, June, July, guys that have tapered off. So for example, I'm looking at this stuff live. I have no idea what their values are, but like in market movers, I'll go here and maybe just look at like Paul Skeens and see what his value's at. I'm actually kind of curious because I want to see if it's like down since the beginning of the season. Wow, yeah, it is down. So you can see this is a perfect example as to why you don't hold cards into the season, or at least in my experience, I would always lose money because most players don't go up in value. Like, let's look at Paul Skeen's stats this year, and he's having a pretty good year, right? Three wins, 3 losses, 2.7 ERA, right? But even with a 2.7 ERA, his PSA 10 Bowman Chrome at the beginning of the year was like, we look here, was like 150, 160, shot up to 190. And now the last sale is 104. So I anticipate this to go down to like 80, 90 bucks. If there was a way to short sports cards, I think I'd make a lot of money. But there's not. I don't know how to do that. But if there was, it'd be pretty cool. But going in and buying these guys while they dip, I've done it for a while. Buy it while they're at their dip. Get these cards graded, sell them. Really good way that I found to make pretty solid money. So baseball's a solid buy. You have football, you have the NFL draft that just happened, and then you have basketball, which I would only really buy basketball cards to get graded. So what I like to do, I've been doing this recently. I've been going on Only Alt. So Alt, if you don't know what this is, has just really high-end good cards. And this kind of gives me like ideas of what to buy and grade. Also, sometimes I bid on some of these cards. So what I'll do is, this is actually a sick card. Jesus Christ. This card, when it came out, was worth like pennies. It was worth nothing because he was a second-round pick. And now this card is just worth bank. Man, Nikola Jokic rookie cards are hard to come by because his rookie year, nobody thought of him as anything. because he was a second round pick and he was slow and sloppy, but now obviously he's a great player. But what I'll do sometimes, what I've been doing recently, is I will go to Alt and look at their auctions. And I'm not paid by Alt, by the way. So just to let you know. And I'll look at football and like, because right now I'm looking to buy football, and I'll sort by highest Alt value. So the highest value that they think a card is worth. And what I'll do is I'll just search and see if anything catches my eye. This is sick. This is actually something I'd probably buy. I just hate buying one-of-one cards where everyone can see what you paid. This is the type of card I would buy on eBay, and I would try to take the guy off market, because let's say you buy this card for 20 grand. Everyone can see you paid 20 grand and there's only one sale because that's a one-on-one. So that's why I'm a little skittish of buying one-on-ones, because people can just, anyone buying a card of that magnitude can just look and see what it sold for. So I'm a little skittish when it comes to doing that. But let's see. I used to flip these Tom Brady rookie cards all the damn time. This is sick. This Caleb Williams Prism Shimmer. Burrow's probably a solid buy. Hurts is still cheap, even though he won a Super Bowl. Still cheap. Jayden Daniels, Baker Mayfield. I actually made some decent money on Baker Mayfield last year. I bought a few of his cards at this time before the season, and they went up like 20-30%, which is pretty cool. There's nothing crazy that catches my eye on here. Nothing wild. Usually there's a few things. Like, this isn't bad. I think did I bid on this? I may have bid on this. No, I did not bid on this. But that's not a bad card. That's something I would look to buy. I like this Purple Ice CJ Stroud. That's something I would buy too. Let's hop over to eBay and see what's going on. So a product that just came out is Optic. So Optic Football just came out. If you guys don't know, so right, this is Optic Football. Let me show you. So this is Optic Football, right? You see right here, this on the right-hand side, it says Optic. However, there's another thing called Optic Preview, right? And this is, as it sounds, Optic Preview. it's the preview to Optic, and you can see it says up there Optic Preview. So Optic, regular Optic, does much better. They're like really liquid cards. They're almost as good as Prism cards. Prism cards are like probably the best, but I think it's a great time to buy Optic. It came out a few weeks ago, so prices have diminished. If you look here and we just look at a simple card like an Optic Hollow Jayden Daniels, for example, and you just look at this card, you can see it's come down. The first sale, this card is 200, and then it's come down, 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 down. And in the past 7 days, it's leveled off. So I try to not get caught up here while it's high, and I try to buy it on its come down right here when it starts to level off. Then I go in and buy, because people just get excited when new products come out, and you just don't want to get caught in this, right? If you buy it for 170 and you get the card back from grading in a month or 2 months, and now it's worth 80, well, it's kind of just hard to make money. So you don't want to get caught up in that wish-wash. But let's take a look at what Optic cards are selling for. Let's look at some auctions and see. I actually have not bought any, to be transparent with you guys. But you know what they say, it's never too late. Let's do minimum price 100, minimum bid count 1. Let's look at Optic. Let's do ending soonest. Ending soonest. Oh, this is a sick one. I don't even know what this is. This must be like a new variation. 2014 retro. Interesting. So these cards are kind of hard to grade because of these backs right here. So they're all colored. When the back of a card is colored, it just chips easier, right? If this corner is black like it is versus white, if it's black and it chips, you could see it. If it's white and it chips, you can't really see it. This card actually looks pretty good. So what I'm looking at here is the centering, right? The left, the right, the top, the bottom. Doesn't look bad. Let's look at, this is a new seller to eBay. I know that because his feedback right there says 7. And he probably just opens up packs of cards. I mean, that's what most people do. So let's take a look here and let's see what it sells for. So Optic, Donruss, Orange at a 249. Caleb Cover. Are there any callers? So let's take a look here. So this card sold for $392, $482, $299 or best offer. This card ends in an hour. I'm gonna be cheap. I kind of like this card. I'm gonna be cheap and bid. So this card should come down from this last sale. I'm gonna come in at like 347. Let's do that. Let's see if that gets a bite. A lot of cool stuff. Yeah, this is a really nice card. It's Aqua Drake Maye. It's off center though, so you can see this top is smaller than the bottom. So therefore, probably not going to grade well if I had to imagine. You never know. JJ McCarthy Optic Blue Autograph. This is a sick freaking card, but you can see the corners here are damaged. Top left, top right. By the way, if you guys are asking questions, we do favor the people that call in, but I have not looked. So these cards are interesting. I actually think this is kind of funny. These Uptown cards. So Panini saw that Downtown cards. Downtown is a very popular type of card. Was doing well, so they made something called Uptown. I wonder if they'll make a Midtown. They'll probably make a Midtown next. I wouldn't be surprised. There's a lot of stuff to buy and grade. Jason Tatum, playoffs going on. Probably not the time to buy him. Let's look at Prism. Let's go back to Prism. Let's do Prism 2024. And let's do one mid bid count. And let's see what we got going on here. We have Bo Nix, PSA 10s. You can see there's more PSA 10s coming out now. Caitlin Clark. I think season's about to start, right? I saw her Indiana Fever were playing Brazil, and she hit some crazy 3 from like the logo. Is freaking wild. Jayden Daniels checkerboard. Yeah, this corner looks a little funny. It looks like rounded a little bit, so probably not going to buy that one. This is a nice one. Bo Nix navy camo, but the card's being blocked by this thing. It looks off. I can't tell actually. Yeah, this is a shitty picture. The guy's blocking the bottom of the card. Not something I want to buy or take a risk on. See if you guys have any questions. Let's start answering some questions. And if you guys want to call in, feel free. It's the number at the bottom left. What would you do now on a player like Ant-Man? Do you sell now based on the recent success of eliminating the Lakers? Thanks. Yes, I do. So if you go here, and if you have Anthony Edwards, right, if you look up just like Anthony Edwards Silver Prism, so you can see Anthony, you can just see how much people overreact. Like this card was $600, $700-ish, and now this card's jumped up to $940. This happened during the playoffs. He started popping off in the playoffs maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago. What was it when he started really pop off? So yeah, I'm selling Anthony Edwards now. Honestly, I mean, they're not going to win at all. So when they lose, it'll pop back down. But yeah, I'm definitely selling him now if I had Anthony Edwards. Let's see. What other questions do we have? Need assistance finding comps on a 2024 Spectra Building Blocks Jayden Daniels laundry tag. 3-color patch. I found it with 2, but not 3. Yeah, so there just may be no comps. I would just add like 5 to 10%. If you found comps of a similar card, that they should sell for pretty similar, like a 2-color patch versus a 3-color patch. Eric, what card should I look for at shows in the $10 and under card to flip? Yeah, so what I would do at a card show is, so when you go to a card show, there's dollar boxes, right? And what you could do is just go through these dollar boxes, and there's autographs in all of them, or a lot of them. And you can find tons of autographs, buy it for $1, flip it for $7, $8. If your budget's lower like that, I would go to these shows, probably only at bigger shows. They're going to have these for the most part. They have these dollar boxes next to them. And that's where I would go. It's a great way to get started too. It's like really cheap, low risk, obviously, but that's what I would do. Not specific, like you shouldn't be going there looking for a specific type of card, but looking for a deal. Let's see. With how long is it to give cards back from PSA in a bulk submission? Wouldn't it be paying the $39 a card to get them back in 20 days for less? Plus, you don't need to send 20 cards like this. Yeah, so I could break down my thought process, and then you could tell me if you agree or disagree. So let me pull up a little Google Doc here. Let's pull this up. All right. So this is like the way I view sports cards, right? So you have today, which I'm speaking is like May 5th, right? And then next week is May 12th, May 19th, May 26th, let's say June 1st, June 8th, and you have June 15th. I'm just going on a weekly basis, June 22nd, June 29th, and then let's say like July 5th, whatever that is. So if what I tell people to do is buy 5 cards per week, right? So to get graded, buy 5 cards, and then buy 5 cards between here, blah, 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 blah. So whether you get your card, like maybe like last year, it would take to here to get your cards back, but it doesn't right now, right? Right now, it's taking to here. So because of that, it's not a big deal. You just have to outlay more cash, right? You just have to buy cards here, 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 and not see a return. But once this comes and you start to get a return, then you don't even realize how long the cards are taking to come back to you, as long as you're staying consistent and buying, let's say, 5 cards per week, right? So that's the way I look at it. Obviously, it's easier because you have to lay out less cash if it only takes, right, call it, I don't know, here to get your cards back. But if you look at the PSA website, card pricing, PSA, so 65 business days. So like this $39 service, it only makes sense if like my rule when I'm buying a card to get graded is, can I double my money, right? So if you buy a card for, let's say, $100, right? Call it $100, and the grading cost is, let's say, $39, and we're ignoring shipping and stuff for now. But if this is the case, that means as a PSA 10, I need to net, right? This is 100 plus 140. I need to net 280 as a PSA 10 in order to make this worth it. So really, you're only going to do this with like Prism cards. So like, for example, Donruss. Oh, nope. I didn't mean to type that in. Prism 2024, Caleb Williams, PSA 10. So, like, let's take this card, for example. Let's use this as an example, this disco card. So, let's type in disco. This card, right, it's $48 raw. A 10's like $227. So, you could realistically spend $39 to get this card graded, but it's a huge risk, right? Because if it doesn't grade a 9, if it doesn't grade a 10 and it grades a 9, it's not that big. Actually, it's not that big of a risk. You're losing like $20. Right? Or $30. So, that Caleb Williams example I just gave. All right, let's go back to this example to break this down. So you can buy this card for $48. You could spend $39 to get it graded because a PSA 10, sells for $227. PSA 9, we just discovered, does about $70. So in other words, if it grades a PSA 9, you're losing, what is that, like 50 plus 40? I don't know. You're losing like $20-ish, all right? Lose $20-ish. And if it grades a PSA 10, you're going to profit, what is that, 50 plus 90 minus, what is it, like 140-ish, 130-ish, something like that. So this is a good game to play. Like the key in order to make this game, like this is a good game, right? Who wouldn't want to play this game? You profit 130 or you lose 20. Anyone would take that gamble. The key is you need to be grading a 10 like 40 to 50% of the time. So like key and like how it takes longer. But I think we had a caller. Hey, what's up? You got Eric? You're live.
Hey, Eric, I appreciate you taking the call, man. Love your content. Great show every week.
I appreciate it. What's your name?
Albert from Orlando.
Albert. Oh, okay. We're over here in Tampa. Not too far.
Nice. Yeah, man. Love your show.
Thank you. How can I make your day better?
Well, I just had a couple questions. One is the upcoming season with the draft now over.
Yep.
What's some of the rookies that are high on your list that you're going to be targeting?
Yep.
And
okay, so you have multiple questions, but you want me to answer them one by one?
Sure.
Okay. Well, let me start with this. Usually people have the same answer to this question, but what is your goal? Is your goal like make a side income, full-time income? Like, do you have a goal in mind?
I mean, I'd like to work it to a full-time, but certainly a side income. I've got some stuff out with PSA now, targeting the last class quarterbacks, obviously. I think the last couple of shows you've mentioned Caleb Williams and kind of his the hype that's going to be around him with some of the weapons that have been added. So, yeah, just kind of getting some optic stuff sent out and then looking to build it into hopefully a full-time thing.
Yeah. So it sounds like the goal right now is to make a few grand a month.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So the way I look at it, so yes, if I had to put the rookie, like once again, this is just theory. Anyone can get hurt. Anything can happen. But the question you have to ask yourself is, okay, I'm sitting here right now in May. If I send these cards in for grading, they come back in July or August. What QB do I think will have a lot of hype? And just to let you know, I could be wrong. Like I bought a big card, not big, it was like $1,000 of Jordan Travis, that backup for the Jets, and he retired. So, right. So like keep in mind what I'm saying, could be wrong here. But like the way I look at it with the rookie class, so like, right, you're buying cards to get graded. Obviously, newer cards are easier to get graded. So that starts with the rookie class. So the way I look at it is like, okay, who's going to have the most hype? Well, in my opinion, I think like Jayden Daniels would be last on my list to buy because he already has a lot of hype. right? Not saying don't buy him, but like I think Caleb Williams, number one, could have a lot of hype. I like him the most. Number two after that, oh man, it's kind of a crapshoot, but probably Drake May. I like, and then right after, and I'm not talking about how good they are. I'm just talking about the hype they're going to generate. And then I like McCarthy a lot right after that. And I think McCarthy's a terrible quarterback, by the way, but just he's like his weapons are loaded. He has a great coach. He's probably in the best place, right? Like I wouldn't be surprised if McCarthy had the best season. It's hard to not have a great season with those types of weapons. And you play in a dome and you have a great coach and you have Jefferson. And so it's hard to not do well. I mean, Sam Darnold resurrected his career. And then number four after that would be probably Penix. Who am I missing? Penix, Daniels. Who's the last one? Who am I missing?
Well, you might throw Knicks in there as well.
Oh, yeah. So number four on my hype list would be Penix. 5 would be Knicks. And the last guy I would buy is Daniels. I'm just talking about in terms of hype, not how good they are. Like Daniels is the best quarterback. But you can see I'm kind of like working my way backwards because with Daniels and Knicks, they already had good seasons. They're already hyped. They're already pretty expensive. So it's like you could buy those cards, get them graded, make money, of course. But if I'm buying cards and getting them graded, I want to give myself a shot, when these cards come back in two months from now, not only them getting a 10 and me making money, but them being worth 20, 30% more. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, because you're kind of forecasting where that's going to land when the
Yeah.
season starts.
Yeah, and sports cards is a great thing because let's take JJ McCarthy for example, right? I think he sucks to be me personally, but even though he stinks, it's like I don't want to say risk free, but it's close to risk free because we're in the off season, right? Nothing can really happen to make his value go down unless he gets injured, which obviously could happen. But the upside is, the excitement builds. Someone he just starts to do well in training camp. Like these things affect players' value. Like if he comes in at training camp looking jacked and people are, the coach is bragging about how well he's doing, his value will go up. So that's the way I look at it. But then also what might help you out, and I'm not saying to do this, I'm just saying something to look at is if the name of the game is to make money, which means the name of the game is to buy, basically the name of the game is to buy something before people see it as an opportunity, right? So me personally, I would much rather buy a card of CJ Stroud to get graded and get a 10 back in 2 months rather than Bo Nix or any of those guys or Caleb Williams, because CJ Stroud, nobody's on. He has big room to go up 50%. These newer guys, it's like a trade-off because their cards are newer, so they're easier to grade, but the upside is limited because they already have a lot of hype, right? There's big upside when no one else sees it as an opportunity. So no one's buying CJ Stroud. No one gives a shit about him. No one gives a shit about Anthony Richardson. I think Richardson stinks, as a lot of people probably do, but he's going to start next year. You bet your ass he's going to generate a lot of hype because he's starting. And I would love a card of Richardson. Lost him? Remember that guy who was driving through the mountains in Vermont? Maybe he's driving through the mountains in Vermont. I lost you there.
Sorry about that. I don't know if it was you or me.
Yeah. No worries. But what I said, did you hear most of that? Did that make sense?
I did. So when you got someone like Stroud or Richardson, there's so much more room for the value to grow because of where they're at right now. So you're kind of getting into a pool of that no one's targeting. So you give yourself more room.
Exactly. It's no different than you ever. I mean, I don't invest in stocks. I never really have. You ever throw your money in stocks?
Well, you kind of set it there for retirement and forget about it, right? I mean, let it grow, do its thing.
Yeah. Well, if you ever see Wolf of Wall Street, those penny stocks, right? There's no room for a Disney stock to go up a lot. It goes up a few percent a year. But a penny stock, that's what doubles. That's what triples, right?
Gotcha. No, that makes total sense.
Yeah. So, but then the downside is, right, it's just going to be harder to find cards of CJ Stroud to grade. If I was in your shoes, it sounds like, you're just beginning to get into sports cards. You want to be buying, grading, and selling. So, just look and see if you could find cards of AR or Stroud or even Purdy if you want to go 1 year back. Purdy's another guy who could have some hype and excitement. So, especially because he should sign a big contract. I don't think he signed it yet. Did he? I could be way wrong. But yeah, so that's something, just a good method of thinking.
So it's 2 years back as far as you'll go to try to find the raw cards to grade. Because I know you said some older stuff. You take the risk of not finding.
Yeah, yes. To answer your question, yeah, I'm really trying to go 1 year back. the most. Like 2 years is like, okay, there's like a special card. It might be like expensive. It might have a big return. I'm really looking 1 year back. Bryce Young, even though like Bryce Young has had a lot of hype. Like I used to, if you go back, like I don't know how long you've been listening to my content, but I'll pat myself on the back here. I was saying to buy Bryce Young in like January or February, and his value is like almost doubled since. So like I'm not really on that train anymore because I don't know if it can keep going up. But I'd love to buy cards at Bryce Young or Stroud or Richardson to grade if I was, buying and grading cards.
Gotcha. No, makes total sense. The second question I had that it's kind of not sure my take on. I've kind of heard some people say that SGC, a graded SGC 9.5 card is some of the most underrated cards in the industry. What's your take on taking a 9.5, cracking it? Now, only makes sense with certain cards when the numbers make sense from a 9.5 to a 10 PSA, and then cracking it, submitting a PSA to see if you can get a 10. You find success with that, or normally it's going to come back a 9 PSA?
Normally going to come back a 9 PSA. I only do that stuff for like, okay, an SGC 9.5 is kind of similar to a PSA 9. So the question, if you're buying a card for $100, would you rather buy a card that's raw than a card that there's probably already something wrong with it, even if you don't see it? Like there's a reason I got a 9.5 and not an SGC 10. I only do that stuff for bigger cards where like I could tell you the last time I did this was like, this was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It was a LaMelo Ball orange, like number 249. It was an SGC 9.5, and I bought it for this. It was more expensive back then. It was $5,000. A PSA 10 was 11 something $1,000, but I saw a PSA 9 was the same price as an SGC 9.5. So my risk was small. It was like, okay, if this gets a 9, I'll break even. So it's like a $5,000 risk with very little downside. And then also I saw what was wrong with the card. It would like there was a little bit of whiting on the corner, just a tiny bit but it wasn't that bad. So I decided to take a shot, and I was fortunate I got a 10. But I only do it with stuff like that. With like $100 card, there's so much of it out there. Why buy something where you already know there's an issue?
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. I appreciate the feedback, and again, great show, great content. Love watching it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, feel free to call back whenever you'd like. Hopefully I answered your questions.
Appreciate it. Thank you again.
No problem. Bye-bye.
Hello?
Hey, you got Eric. You're live.
Hey, Eric, it's Anthony. How are you?
What's up, Anthony? How may I help you?
So I got one comment and one question.
Do it.
So the comment, and this validates your point that you've always been saying. Back in March, before the baseball season started, I picked up this raw 2024 Paul Skeens negative refractor card. First of all, it's an ugly card, but it was a card that a lot of people must have liked. There was a lot of hype on this card. I picked it up for $100 and graded. I think it was going for $350 at the time. This was only 2 months ago. So now I brought that card to a couple of card shows, and we were looking it up. You can't even get $50 for the card. It lost 50% of the value already in 2 months. And to your point, full scheme. He's doing good, but the team sucks, and the card just dropped. Now nobody wants it.
Yep. I hate to sit here and say I'm right, but it's very hard for a player to maintain that hype that they get before the season. It just is. It's the reality of sports.
Yeah, and then the thing is he could throw 7 innings, 7 Ks, give up 1 hit, and the game's tied, and then the bullpen blows it for him, and they lose, and it's not on him, but the card drops.
Yeah. I just looked it up actually in the beginning of the show. Like he's 3-3 on the year with a 2.7 ERA. Really good year. Probably, he's probably pitching as people expected, a mid to high 2 ERA. No one expected the Pirates to, win it all. But yeah, no one gives a shit about the Pirates, especially if their team sucks, right? So it's just a very, very difficult game to play, buying guys and trying to hope their value goes up when they play, because there's so many variables. Like Victor Wembanyama, he was having a good year, but his value went down because the Spurs suck. So, and that's the reality of a lot of good young players. Guess someone who's really good and young, they probably got drafted early. And if you got drafted early, guess what? You probably got drafted to a shitty team, right?
Yeah, exactly. My question was going to be: would you still purchase the Caitlin Clark cards and this new Haley Van Lith? There's a lot of hype around her, and I see her cards going up.
Me personally, I would only buy Clark. I think that value maintains, special situation. So that's the only one I would buy. I wouldn't buy any of the other WNBA players. I think their values will probably tank. But yeah,
Okay.
it's just wait. So just out of curiosity, were you listening to this show about what I say about selling before the season, but you decided to just take a swing at the Skeens anyways?
Yeah, I wanted to. I know. I wanted to take a chance with him.
Yeah,
But
I don't blame you.
you're right.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't happen with everyone. I'm sure I haven't been following baseball too intensely, but there's probably like one or two players that are up in value, but yeah, most go down.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your help, and thanks for all you do.
Yeah, no problem, Anthony. Thanks for calling in.
Take care.
All right, bye bye. That was a good call. He just called to say I was right.
Hello.
Hey, what's up? You got Eric? You're live.
Hey, what's up, man? It's Sam.
What's up, Sam? How can I help?
All right. So, what is your opinion? Okay, when I'm watching these videos, I'm watching these guys do really, really big deals with various graded company cards. So he'll go to this stand and he'll buy 5 PSAs, 10 BGSs, and these BGSs are like going for like really big numbers. They're 9.5 with the 10 auto, right?
Mhm.
Typically, you're going to find like NTs in that, right? What is So I recently bought a 9.5 silver Bryce Young for $100.
Yep.
I'm seeing that his PSA 10 is going for 10. So what, or for 200? What's the real value in this? And when you're looking at BGS's 9.5s to a PSA 10?
About half.
Seriously? Okay, wow. Okay, so these NTs that are going for 20 grand for 9.5s and 10 autos are going for 40 grand PSA 10s. Is that typically, I guess, what you're saying?
Nah, those cards are probably different. Like if a BGS 9.5 of an NT is probably just 20 grand, I'd say a PSA 10 is probably like low 30s. Just a little bit of different of a market. It depends on the card,
Okay.
obviously, but
Okay.
and it depends the population report. Like if there's only one like BGS is easier to grade. So let's take a number to 99 rookie patch auto of a player that's popular. If there's 4 PSA 10s and 12 BGS 9.5s in the population, then you could expect what I just said. But if there's only one PSA 10 in existence, like I think Jalen Hurts may only have 2 PSA 10s of his true rookie patch auto, I think. Like those could do like triple, like double to triple
Okay.
easily. It just depends on the pop report, how hard it was to grade, the demand of the player. But for the most part, higher end, you don't see those margins as much as like the lower end. The lower end stuff, PSA crushes with.
So I guess it wouldn't. So what's okay if I'm buying 9.5s and potentially cracking those to submit them at 10s? I mean, is it worth it at that point or no?
No. Well,
Okay.
at what point? At like what kind of card are you buying?
Like for instance, in that in this the 9.5 silver Bryce Young, is it worth cracking and sending out?
No, not a card like that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I only buy and crack cards if it's like higher end, like $1,000 plus, because it's $100. You're gonna spend $20 to get it graded. If it's not a true gem, Beckett 9.5, it probably will get a PSA 9. Those cards are just hard to grade. Beckett's easier when
Okay.
it comes to grading. And my rule of thumb is
Wow. Okay.
I only send in cards if I can double my money. If you spent
Yeah.
$100 on the card and you're spending 20, $30 to get it graded, and a PSA 10 is $200, well, you're not doubling your money. So therefore,
Yeah.
I would not. I only do it with like I only do it like the last time I did. I'll tell you the last time I did it. But no, that card wasn't cracked. The last time I did it was I don't do it too often, but I bought a $10,000 card of Shohei Ohtani. This was a year and a half ago. It was 2018 Atomic Bowman Chrome. Right, paid 10 grand. I paid 9,700 actually. Paid 9,700. And it was a Beckett 9.5. And I bought that card knowing that this card probably will not get a PSA 10. I gave it like a 25% chance. There was a slight edge issue. But I was like, you know what? Centerwell, autograph's good. Let's give it a run. And the reason I gave it a run is because a PSA 9 was like 11 or 12K. So after paying PSA to get the card graded, I knew I could break even or come close to it. And if it got a 10, I knew I could sell it for like 25, 30 grand. So by cracking it, I'm like, okay, this is like a 25% gamble. If it doesn't grade a
Okay.
10,
That makes sense.
I lose like $1,000, $500 probably. If it grades a 10, I'm making 25, 30, 20 grand, something like that. I ended up making 20 grand on it. I actually got a 10. I got lucky. But that's the only time I crack, when it's higher
Okay.
end and the numbers play into my favor. But like sometimes you'll buy a Beckett 9.5 for $1,000, and you'll see a PSA 10 does like 3,000, but a PSA 9 does like 600. Then I'm not buying it. Like,
Got
I'm
it.
assuming the card's probably going to get a PSA 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. Now some other things for options, sourcing, um, Facebook group pages.
Yeah.
You know, where is the security in that? Like you're if there's, the cash, I get it. You can do the PayPal gifts and services, right? But if there's like trades involved, or you're getting one and you're sending one, is there any kind of security, or is this 100% trust factor?
Well, you could have a vouch post. You could make a vouch post. So you basically make a post saying, "Hey, I'm doing a deal with so and so. Can we get some people commenting? Just comment if you've done a deal with them before." Number one. Number two, you do have to realize there are scammers, of course, but most people want to do good, because if you scam one person, you're ousted from the community.
Okay.
So most people are good people, and you could see like by their Facebook, like if they had like normal pictures and they're a family guy, they're probably not going to scam you. And vouch post, yeah. And then also, yeah, there's an element I thought I probably wouldn't do a huge trade with someone that you've never done a deal before. But yeah, that's just a risk of the business, right? Just with business, there's risks. I've never been
Okay.
scammed on a trade. I've been scammed on buying a card before, like giving them cash and then they tried to run off with it. But I've actually never been scammed on a trade ever. But yeah,
Okay.
it's part of the game.
And then when you're discussing trade plus cash, like I'm running into an issue where I have my way of thinking on how cash and trades work, and
Which
they
is
have theirs.
which is what?
So okay, and I could be dead wrong here, but the way that I'm thinking, like for instance, I'm in the middle of a deal right now for a Jayden Daniels duo downtown. I'm valuing it at the moment at 1850, right? And then I have a PSA 10 field level Joe Burrow rookie. I've got also a 10 out of 50 Anthony Richardson, and Bryce Young, and a CJ Stroud. All these are 10s PSA, right?
Okay.
And so it all values out at about, I was thinking 800, I think is what we kind of agreed on. And so you're looking at 1850 and the 800, so it's 1050 left. So that 1050 is, in my opinion, hey, let's take 15% off of the cash remaining value, and then I just pay that in addition to my cards. And he's saying no, and he's giving me, basically he's wanting like 1300 cash plus those trades, and I'm like, whoa, we're like way off. What's going on here? How do y'all normally work deals with trading cash?
Well, cash is more valuable. Number one, you just have to remember, people want every dollar they can get. That's just people. That's
Well,
just,
what's like, you've been in the industry, what's like an industry standard? Like you walk up to a table
yeah.
and
The
you say,
industry
hey, trade plus
standard is
cash, and
like,
it's like an easy, hey.
yeah. The industry standard is, if you're doing a the industry standard, obviously everything fucking just depends on the person and stuff. But
Sure.
if you are, let's say, trading for a $2,000 card, and you give them $1,000 card and you owe them $1,000 in cash, industry standard is usually people will take off like 5 to 10% off the cash.
Okay, so I'm I may be just off on the percentage, but the way that I'm calculating isn't like ridiculous. I guess I'm
No,
just off by a couple
but it depends. Like,
percentages.
if that card of Jayden Daniels you're trading for is like in good condition,
Yeah,
and they know in both you guys probably know the upside. If it tens, then he may ask for 105% in cash, because he could. But you just need to play the
got
numbers
it.
out in your head. Just, is it worth it? Right? Know what you're into the card for. Know the chance you think it could 10. Know the chance you could think it could 9. What are you making on each one? And you just have to, dude, like, a part of it is swallowing ego. Sometimes you'll know someone's a dick and they're getting one over on you, but you know the potential value of that Jayden Daniels card of a 10. So like, you can't get caught up in other people like being assholes or just wanting every last dollar, because that's just business and that's just life. But yeah, I mean, but he might just be doing that because he knows what he has. Like, that's the classic,
That's
it's the
fair.
classic saying, right? At cards, I know what I have, right? But sometimes they do.
Okay.
Sometimes they do know what they have.
Okay. All right. Well, cool. I appreciate it, man.
Well, sweet. Yeah. If you have any other questions, feel free to call back whenever.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
All right. Have a good one. Are there others? Well, while you guys wait to call in, I'll answer some questions through the chat. Hey, Eric, I would like to call, but I'm at work. I would go in the bathroom. That's the best answer I got for you. Hi, Eric. Do you only sell cards on eBay? If so, is there a way to load cards in bulk? I barely sell cards on eBay. I mean, at this point, I just buy higher-end cards and kind of sell them to people I know. Actually, I can't even like post on Facebook anymore because I get so much shit when I do. But I just sell it to people I know. So there are apps to upload it in bulk. I can just go. I would just go on ChatGPT and just ask the question. There's probably a bunch of different softwares. Kevin, you're right. For the most part, I use eBay to buy, not sell. It's just what I do. Once again, I've taught this to a lot of students. There's some students that buy on Instagram, sell on eBay. There's certain students that only buy on Facebook groups and sell on Facebook groups. Thoughts on buying PSA 10 2024 Prism QBs, knowing how rare they are. If you can get close to comps right now, I think that's a terrible idea. I think that's a terrible idea because if you're buying something that's already a 10, you want to be buying something that has big upside. Newer guys, newer quarterbacks don't really have much upside because they've already been hyped up. So, for example, there's a lot of you guys in here. I think this is a record. For example, right, if you look here, and let's take a look at Jayden Daniels Silver Prism PSA 10, right? Let's look at that. And let's look at, in comparison, Anthony Richardson, PSA 10 Silver Prism. We all love Anthony Richardson, right? All right. So, in the past, let's do 180 days. Can we zoom in here? Let's do past 365 days. This light blue line is Anthony Richardson. This dark blue line is Jayden Daniels. His PSA 10 started out at like $1,800 and it's come down, 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 and it's settled off, right? It's not common for something to have a lot of hype, die, and then regain hype, like here. But Anthony Richardson, right, his stuff was really high, right, going into the season. It was like $500. And now this card is like $125. So it's not a matter of how rare a card is to make money. It's a matter of, will the player's hype, aka will his value, increase? Something is only an opportunity when no one else sees it as an opportunity, right? So, like, you could clearly see from this graph, no one gives a shit about Anthony Richardson, right? It's went down and it stayed pretty cheap for a long time. So, like, this has, not saying it's going to, but this has potential to pop up. This, not as much potential because it was just hyped and it's still hyped. This card is really expensive for a Silver Prism PSA 10, right? $1,300 is pretty freaking expensive, right? Is Jayden, like CJ Stroud, this card is $300. Is Jayden Daniels 4 times the quarterback Stroud is? Of course not, right? But it's just hyped. It's newer. It's exciting. People want it. So I think it's a terrible idea, me personally. But obviously, there's no guarantees in life. You never know what's going to go up in value. Hopefully that answers your question. 100% correct mindset. I appreciate that. Let's see what other questions we have. So, Sports Poker Guy. I like your name. I play poker too. What about PSA 10 Ellie's? Does the same thing apply with hype or is he more proven? So let's look at, so you're talking about Mr. Ellie. If you guys want, you can call in. A lot more fun to have a conversation when you call in. So this is an Ellie Dela Cruz PSA 10 Prism. Actually, let me look. I don't know his stats on the year. Is he having a 269? He's having an okay year. He's doing okay. But like Ellie Dela Cruz, his values actually steadily went up and up and up and up. Like I buy, like the way I've made money in sports cards is buying when guys are down. Like I want to see like this, like Silver Prism Stroud. Like I like to see this. I like to see this. Woo! This big dip. This gets me excited. And you could see CJ Stroud's value is, if you look in the past 60 days, I wouldn't say it's going up. It's probably like, it hasn't went up. It stayed the same. But this gets me excited. This tells me that this is possibly an opportunity because it's so cheap, right? Hopefully that makes sense. So I just stay away from buying guys that are hyped and exciting, etc. I like to buy before the hype starts. Let's see. I'm recently seeing buyers run up bids on eBay to just get the comps up and then cancel their purchase. Terrible for the hobby. Yeah, unfortunately, it's just a shitty part of the business. It's just people do that. People are greedy. People want to make money. When it comes to money, right? Everyone's dynamic on life or perspective on life changes. It's just money changes people. Hi, Eric. What do you think about buying Burrow? And if you have a bunch of raw Kobe's, what's best to do? Hold, sell now, raw, or grade them? Well, if they're gradable, grade them. If I had a bunch of raw Kobe, okay, well, let me answer 2 questions. First question, so Joe Burrow. So let's take a look at, I actually have not looked into Joe Burrow much, but Joe Burrow, let's look at his like silver prism. I have no idea what his value is. So, I mean, he had a really good year last year. So it's not really down too much. It was down here and it kind of popped back up. He had a really good year, even though the Bengals kind of stink. They almost made the playoffs. But I don't like buying Burrow. I think he's more of like a blue chip guy. Like people know he's really good, right? I like to buy guys where there could be a lot of excitement, and there's just not much excitement with someone like Joe Burrow because people know what you're getting. You know, he's a really good quarterback. You know, he's solidified in the league. Can you make money? Yeah, but it's just not what I do. It's not up my alley personally, but that's just me. And then buying like Kobe Bryant cards, like Kobe Bryant raw cards. My rule would be, so if like step number 1, make sure card is in a good condition. I'm writing this down, so hopefully you can write it down. So right, that's the corners, the edges, the centering, the surface, right? You need to make sure the card is in good condition. I would only send cards in for grading that I think could get a PSA 10. If I don't think you can get a PSA 10, I would not, unless it's a really expensive Kobe Bryant card. I'm assuming these are cards that are worth like $100, $200 as a 10. Number 2, what I would do is make sure, my rule, the card is worth at least $40 as a PSA 9. So just make sure the card's worth at least $40 as a PSA 9. So I'm only sending in cards that I think a 10, but I'm assuming it's going to get a 9. And your grading cost should be $20 per card. So I'm just making sure that I could double my money if the card grades a 9. Sending cards in that I think a 10, but if it grades a 9, I'm at least doubling my money. That's the way I would do it. If you have like older cards, Kobe Bryant cards, really any older cards. What software do you use to trend card prices compare? It's a software called Market Movers. It costs money though. It's $20 a month, $30 a month, something like that. But yeah, hopefully that helps you out. You know, there's a lot of you guys in here, and there's not a lot of callers. I'm actually pretty surprised. Well, while you guys wait to call in, I'll go back to doing what I was doing and buying cards on eBay. I wonder, someone I like a lot is Jordan Love. I wonder if there's any Jordan Love auctions ending of any bigger cards. I just like to buy auctions at this point. I fucking hate going back and forth with people. It's a huge pain. This is what I'll do sometimes. I'll look at cards of Jordan Love, and these interest me. Sometimes what I'll do as well is I'll type in Prism, or like, you know what? Let's type in Contenders, and I'll just look. I'll just look at what auctions are ending, like higher end auctions of just any Contenders cards. You know, what Contender cards have bids, and a lot of times you can get these bids at pretty good deals. So like, this is an interesting card. Doesn't this card look better centered than I don't know. Doesn't this look better than a 8.5 centering? So this, like, someone was just asking me about buying cards to crack out of the case. I mean, this card, so you can see this card's in immaculate condition except for the centering. And this card's graded a 9. So this card, so like, honestly, I'm having trouble seeing where the centering's off. I don't know. I don't know. The centering seems not too bad to me. The risk is this card's is 4 or 5 years old, but I know this card's in really good condition except for the centering. But I'm looking at it, and you can clearly see. 1 second. I'm gonna hold the call. This is actually a card I give a shit about. I might actually purchase this. So the left's a little bit bigger than the right. The bottom's not bad, right? Am I going crazy here? Are my eyes fooling me? Let's see. So what I'll do here to compare is I'll just look at like other PSA 10s and just see like, you know, what's the oh, that's a PSA 9. Like what are PSA 10s going for? So this card, right? Doesn't it look like the same? Right? It looks pretty damn close. Right? Left, right. How big is this top? This top's a little bit bigger. Interesting. So actually, like now looking at it, these PSA 10s, this left and right of this gold is pretty good. This top is a little smaller than this one. That's close, right? Okay, I'm interested. Let's buy it. I haven't cracked the card out. I'm buying a high-end card and cracked it out in a while. So let's take a look and see. So there's no golds. Let's go on market movers and see gold. There's nothing. Oh, wow. Wow. I don't know what this card is worth. Okay, let's go on 130 point. Optic contenders, auto. Wait, it's optic contenders or contenders? Yeah, optic contenders, gold, auto, LaMelo. See if there's anything. This sold. Okay, so this sold as an SGC 9 about a year ago. It sold for $1,800. SGC 9, BGS 9, gonna be worth similar. So this is what I'm gonna do. Check this out. Right, we have, let's do the math here. LaMelo. LaMelo Ball, gold, optic contenders, auto, right? So 2024. So just to let you know, like this variation is a little bit different than this one, but they sell for similar. You can see the picture here is him in his purple jersey, and this one's in his like aqua jersey, but they sell for similar. So 2024 gold, 2024 sold for $1,830. That's an SGC 9. And then what I'll do, so like now what I want to do is I want to see, okay, I know one sold for $1,830 as an SGC 9, right? And this sold a year ago in April. So I want to see, okay, is his value worth more or is it worth less in the past year? So what I'll do to do that is I'll look at like a common card sold, so like a Silver Prism PSA 10, right? I always use this. This is like a good like base or like benchmark to see its value. You can see this is a card that sells pretty commonly. So you could see this card in April was like $400. Yeah, right? So Silver Prism PSA 10, April 2024, it was like $400. And today, this card is $280, right? So today, this card is $280. So in other words, this card fell about, what is that? 400 to 2, it dropped 30%-ish in value. But for some reason, this card's at $1,500 already. Why? I don't know. Why is this card so expensive? I mean, the higher end sports card market has went up also as well. Just knowing that. Let's see something here. Let's see something. What is this? Isn't this the same card I'm looking at? Why does it say 1050? Okay. So, and also LaMelo Ball. I like the idea of I'm not too big on buying basketball, but I like the idea of buying him because his value like could pop up. I mean, it's stayed pretty consistent over the past year, but it could pop up. With the Hornets, getting someone. We're in the off season now, so I like the idea. I just don't like the price of this card. But once again, like it doesn't matter. Like at the same time, I'm also convincing myself to buy it because I want to, but it doesn't matter as much what that last comp was because like this will reset the market. So even if this sells for $2,000, this is all people are going to see. So I think I'm going to go against my better judgment here. Just fucking let it rip. I just like the idea. I think this card could possibly grade at 10. If this card grades at 10, it's big money. I wonder if there's like just no sales. There's just no sales of anything. Let me take one last look here. Auto, LaMelo. There's nothing. Even if you go to so let's do this. Optic Contenders Auto LaMelo. Let's just see what are the highest ones that have ever sold. Whether it's gold, whether it's... So this is when he was in his prime of his value. Anything recent? So his jersey number to 49. So like his orange number to 25 is 1,100. Okay. All right. So this is why like higher end cards is so tricky. So like his PSA 9 number to 25, PSA 9 does $1,100. And this one did 900. So yeah, it's like call it $1,000. I know just based off being in sports cards for a while, a gold number to 10 is at least double. So now it makes me comfortable buying that card for $2,000, if not more. So, and you can see number to 35. What were LaMelo's stats on the season? I mean, I didn't follow him too closely, but I mean, yeah, he averaged 25. I mean, yeah, he had a really good year. That's why his value maintained. So like now, like seeing this number 35 to 830, like I know a gold is at least $2,000 based off this number to 20 at least. So now we're golden. That's why you have to look at so many different things. So like I would feel comfortable. Hopefully none of you guys outbid me on this card, but I'm just here to give value. I feel comfortable paying low 2,000s. I'll pay like 2187. I'll just put a random number in there. And this is easy sniper, by the way. It's like bids auctions in the last Man, this is a high risk card. Like I could easily lose a few $100s on it. I could make $3,000 on it. I have no idea, but I like the idea. I like risk. I like to gamble. So yeah, that's an interesting card. But anyways, there's a caller. Hey, what's up? You got Eric? You're live.
Hey, Eric, this is John. I've watched the show quite a bit, and I just
Nice.
had a question for you.
Cool.
I've just gotten into the sports car thing. Don't have a lot of money, but what I'm trying to do is I'm actually looking at Early from the Three Stooges. It's a 1959 card. So this has nothing to do with sports cards, really.
Okay.
But here's the thing. It looks like a potential great money opportunity, but it's off center. It's a PSA 8.
Wait, what card is it? Say it again. 1959 what?
It's a 1959 Curly Fleer. Fleer like a Fleer.
Yep. Curly, clear. Got it. PSA 8?
Yes, but it's off center. That's the thing. If you look at like the normal center board, it looks like it's good in value, but if it's off center, it's a lot lower in value. So I wonder, is
Yep.
this a good opportunity, or I don't know.
Well, it depends what you pay. How much does the guy want?
Well, I'm actually not on here right now. I'm on the phone. It seems like it was around, I can't remember, 1,500 maybe.
Nah. One sold for $750. I'm looking at here. Like it says OC, like 8 OC next to it. OC stands for off center.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like a $700 card.
gotcha. Okay. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions?
Yes, actually, I was also thinking about using. Have you ever used card care products on raw cards?
Yeah,
Do you know if that would
yeah,
work?
yeah. I have done it sparingly. I have people that do it for me. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay. So you think that that's maybe a good idea to, try to, if you can get good at doing that, and then just few cards, trying to maybe increase the appeal of it, and then trying to get it graded. Do you think that that's
Yeah, it can't hurt. I mean, unless you like damage the card, but yeah, it can't hurt. I would.
all right? Well, thank you so much. Those are great answers. Appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for calling in. Is there another one? Yeah, I'll throw something at you guys before I end this thing. And if you guys have any, I mean, maybe I'll take one more caller. But I'll throw something at you guys, and you guys can give me feedback on this. So, what we're debating on doing, right? So, obviously, right, I sell a program. I teach people how to make money with sports cards. I do these live podcasts to help you guys, for free. If you guys want to join, you could. So, we're thinking about doing live events, right? So, this is how it would go. And you guys can give me feedback, email me, message in the chat. So imagine we go to your city, call it Chicago, and we do a live event. There will be a ticket. It'll be like anywhere between $17 to $47. Cheap. Buy a ticket. And so like I will literally on stage break down how to make money with sports cards step by step, and literally will help people buy their first card if they want. And there'll be a presentation taking you over everything step by step. It'll be on a Saturday morning near a big city, so people aren't working. And afterwards, network, drink, food, all that fun stuff. Be a few hour thing, and it'll be almost like a live seminar. Like I don't know if you guys have ever seen like the live seminars or the ones I do on Zoom. This will be a live one in person. It'll be a cheap ticket to buy, but you guys could put in the chat. I'm curious what you guys think of that idea. Like stupid idea, good idea. If you attended, what would you like to see out of the event? What would you like to learn? Is this something you would go to near your local city for like, call it $47 for a ticket, and you could bring your kid for free, something like that? Let me know. Yeah, throw it in the chat. I'm curious to read what you guys have to say about that. But we had a caller.
Hello.
Hey, you got Eric. You're live.
Hi, my name's Ty. It's nice. So I have a question. I have a 2024 Donruss Optic McCarthy on-card auto. It's the out of 50 silver. I recently sent it in for grading, and I was wondering if it's a hold or I should be selling it right away. It's a newer product, the hobby box, 2024.
Wait, say it again. It's 2024 what? What's the card?
The 2024 Donruss Optic, the JJ McCarthy. It's out of 150, and it's the on-card auto silver.
Is it graded?
I sent it in for grading, so I think it's coming today. I don't know what grade it is, but it's going around a 9 or a 10. It's at least a 9.
Yeah, whatever it is, I would sell it right away and take the money and reinvest.
Okay, so not worth keeping. It's nothing that.
Nah, I mean, anyone could, have an excellent season, but most guys just don't perform up to expectations. If I was in your shoes, I'd sell right away.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
No problem. Simple question. Looks like you guys like the idea of feedback. Yeah, KC's a good city. Yeah, there's some good cities for sports cards like Chicago, KC.
Hello.
Hey, you got Eric. You're live.
What's up, Eric?
What's up? What's your name?
So Kenneth,
Where are you calling from, Kenneth?
Texas,
Cool. Well,
Dallas.
how can I help?
So I'm wondering with cards that I buy on eBay, if I'm buying like recently, I just bought this Tua. I'm big on Tua now,
Yeah.
but I bought a Tua numbered out of 50, and it's an absolute. And I was seeing comps on like other like the same absolute out of like 140, just higher numbered ones. And there was one that was numbered at 139 that sold for like 90, and I got this one 50 for 100. And I took it to the Dallas car show this weekend, and I wasn't sure to comp it because like they're gonna look at the recent sale of that, obviously see that it's like $100 card.
So break it down to me. Yours is numbered to what?
50.
And the comp you saw was what?
I bought it for 100, but I saw a comp like numbered out of a higher number. I think it was 149 or something in the hundreds, sold for 90.
Okay, do you want me to just tell you what the card's worth?
Yeah,
And what is it? It's numbered to 50 to what year?
yeah. Absolute 2020 PSA 10.
It's not an autograph?
No, just a base card.
Okay, well, let's take a look. Absolute. Is it red? Like what there's a bunch of different variations of absolute. Like what does the card look like?
Spectrum blue. Spectrum blue.
Okay. Let's take a look here. Let's see. This card, what'd you pay on it?
I bought it for on eBay, so I wasn't like, how do you like if I got a good deal on eBay? How does that even work? Because aren't they just gonna see it and go, oh,
Yeah.
it just sold for this much? So
Yep. Yeah. So that card you've set to the market, so it is $100. Maybe you'll get someone that'll give you
okay,
110 or 120. But yeah, so that's why
okay,
the way to make money is either A, buy that stuff off of eBay, or B, buying cards before they pop up in value, waiting a few months, selling them, or buying cards and getting them graded. Yeah, it's very hard to just buy a card on eBay and flip it right away because everyone can see what you paid.
yeah, okay. Well, that's all I had today.
All right, no problem, Kenneth. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks.
All
You
right, bye bye. Any other questions? Well, no other questions. I'll give this a wrap. Yeah, feel free to shoot me ideas. We're thinking about this. So the Saturday morning of the National Card Show might be our first live event. There'll be students there, but like, and it'll be like a live training session. So like, you can literally like watch it and then go out in the card show and attempt to make money. And it'll be a cheap ticket. We'll rent out some part of Rosemont, Illinois, which is where the card show is. Look out for that. We may start doing that in local cities. We're gonna play around with the idea. It sounds like a lot of fun. We film great content, do all that stuff. Hopefully you guys like that live event idea. And if you see ads for it, feel free to purchase a ticket. Come. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.